Hello YouTube and welcome to another pfSense tutorial. So in this video I'm going to show you how to configure WireGuard on pfSense. So are you ready? Let's get started. So as you may know, WireGuard is one of the fastest VPN out there. So for example, if you compare it to OpenVPN, WireGuard actually it's simpler and also faster. Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to configure it under pfSense. Okay, so here as you can see I am using the latest version of pfSense, which is version 2.8.0. okay, so first thing first, we're gonna of course install the package. So in order to do that, pretty simple, you go to system, then you hit your package manager. Okay, here we go, and of course we're gonna look for WireGuard. Okay, so I'm going to available packages, and for the search I will just hit or type WireGuard. Okay, and let's see if we get some results. And of course here as you can see on the time of recording I have here version 0.2.9 okay of the package. So we're gonna simply hit install in order to install this package. Here we go. So we're gonna confirm that. Here we go, and you will see the package will be installed pretty easily, and also it doesn't require a lot of time in order to do that. Okay, so as you can see here we have success. So we have successfully installed the package. Okay, so when you install this package you will notice a new menu appears under the VPN. Okay, so here it is. So in addition to OpenVPN, now we are WireGuard. So let's click on it. So here we go, you can see that we have different options here, or actually sections. We have tunnels, peers, settings and status. Okay, so first thing first, we have of course to add a tunnel. Okay, so let's do that. Let's add a tunnel. Okay, so by default here the tunnel is enabled, so we can put a description if you want. So I will just type WireGuard tunnel pretty easily. The default port is 51820, so this is the default port. Okay, and this is actually the section that you have to pay attention. So here we can actually generate our private and public key. So let's do that. So let's click on this button here, generate. Okay, so now we have our two keys. So of course the public key, this is the one that you're gonna actually copy it to your client in order to make a connection to this server, and the private one you will never share it. It's actually there on the server. Okay, and it's good practice in order not to lose it, to copy it right now and paste it, for example, in a notepad document. Okay, so I will open here notepad. Okay, and I will paste this public key. So remember, this is the public key of our WireGuard on pfSense. Okay, so you can just, for example, type public key pfSense. Okay, and here is actually another section with interface configuration. So we're gonna actually add here a special interface address, so you can choose whatever interface address that you want. Okay, so for example me, I will be choosing 10 dot for example 200.0 and that one. Okay, and subnet mask is 24. Okay, but you can choose whatever address that you want. Just keep in mind to add this .1 in order to distinguish this, because this will be actually the gateway. Okay, And I guess that's all that you have to do here. Okay, so let's save that and see what we get. So let's save this tunnel here. So I'm not going to save anything. So here you can see the WireGuard service is not running. This is normal. So you have to go actually to your settings and enable this WireGuard. Okay, so let's enable it in order to run the service. Okay, so let's save that now, and you can keep the default setting as it is. So of course you have to apply the changes, and here we go. I guess now the service is running, so we can return back to our tunnel to see if everything is okay. You can edit it. So we have here everything that is actually saved. So let's verify also that the service is running. So I will go to the home page, and under the services status you can see indeed that our WireGuard service is running. Okay, so now we're gonna do our next steps, which is to go to the interface assignment. So I will go to interfaces, then assignment. Okay, and here if you look at available network ports, you will see that I have here another interface called tunnel WireGuard 0. So I will add this interface here. So I will add it. Here we go. And now if I click on the interfaces menu, you can see it has been added, and the name that pfSense has given into it is OPT1. So I will click on it because by default it's not enabled. So let's enable it. Here we go. And of course for the description I will just name it for example WireGuard interface, something like that. Okay, just to distinguish it between the others. Okay, so now we're gonna actually add static IP address to this interface. So I will choose here for the IPv4 configuration type static IPv4. Okay, and here I have to enter the same IP address that I have entered before, which is actually 10.200.0.1, and of course the subnet mask is 24. Okay, here we go, and I guess that's all. So let's save this configuration here and let's apply the changes. Okay, so now as you can see the changes have been applied successfully. Now we're gonna go to the next step, which is to add actually two very important firewall rules that will allow us the traffic to be actually allowed by the interface and also by the WAN interface. So for that I will go to the firewall menu and rules. Okay, so I will add the first rule by actually selecting this interface that we just added. So remember the name of it is WireGuard actually interface that we name it, and let's add simple rule here. So the action is actually the pass. Okay, so for the protocol that will be actually TCP. So it's chosen by default here. For the source is NA, and for the destination is NA. Okay, so let's save that, and you can see that the rule here we have all just to apply the changes. Okay, so now we have add a rule for the WireGuard interface. Now we must add a rule on the WAN interface in order to allow traffic to be allowed when they hit the port, the special port for WireGuard, which is, as you may know, 51820. So let's this time choose the WAN interface, and I will add here a rule. Of course action will be passed. So the protocol that is used for WireGuard is UDP, so I will choose here UDP. Okay, source that will be NA, destination that will be also NA, but destination port this time I will choose the one for actually WireGuard, which is 51820. Okay, so I will repeat it here, 51820. But of course you can choose whatever port you want. This is the default port, but you have to configure that on under the VPN also. So now we are using the default port, and also it's good practice to log the packet so you can see any IP addresses that are trying to hit this port here. So let's save that and let's apply the changes, and as you can see now we have actually successfully added rule to allow the traffic to go through this destination port for actually a WireGuard, which is 51820. Okay, so now the next step is to configure actually our client. Okay, so in order to do that you can use any client you want under Windows, macOS, or even Android. So here I'm using Windows, so I will show you how you can do that on Windows, but the same steps actually will apply to other clients on different operating system. So I will open here my WireGuard, okay, and I will try to add a tunnel. So add an empty tunnel, here we go. Okay, so you can see here it has created also two keys, one public and one private. So I will copy this one, the public one, because I will be using it in order to create a peer on pfSense. Okay, so remember we have already a public key, but this one is I copy it on actually this notepad. This is the one that is generated on the pfSense, but now we have another another public key that we'll be using actually in order to create a peer on the pfSense. So I copy it, so I will go once again to our VPN, WireGuard, and this time I will choose actually peers in order to create a peer. So I will add here a peer. So here for the tunnel I will choose the one that I have created. So remember this is the one that we have created before. And here we can make a description. So for example, Windows peer here, Windows client peer. So you can use or add whatever number of peers that you want. Okay, so I will keep the default settings, but the most important thing here is to add this public key here from your client. So I will just paste the one that I copied from my WireGuard client, as you can see here. Okay, and we can also generate a pre-shared key. So this is the password that will be actually used for the authentication between the WireGuard and our client. So I will generate it and I will copy it because I'll be using it on my actually client here. So I will copy it also to Notepad. So this is the pre-shared key. Here we go. Okay, and also in the address configuration section we have here to add the allowed IPs. Okay, so here for the allowed IPs I will add special IP for our client. So for the client I will add, for example, this IP address here, but instead of that one I will just use, for example, .6. And here do not forget the subnet mask, which is 32, because it's single IP address. So now I guess everything is set up on the pfSense. Let's just copy this IP address because we'll be configuring actually our client. So let's save our peer here. Here we go. Let's apply the changes Okay, so now everything is set up on pfSense. The next step, or the last step that actually we have to do, is to configure actually our peer or client actually. So let's do that. So I will open here this actually WireGuard client, and I will add some sections here. Okay, so for the section interface, I will just add here an address. So this is the address that we have added for the client, which is, if you remember, 10.200.0.6. okay, but this time it's /24, not 32. And I will add also DNS, and that would be the Google DNS. So I will put here actually the Google DNS. So that's all, I guess, that we have to do in this interface section. Okay, so I will add here another section called actually peer. Let me just, here we go. So for this section I will add, of course, the public key, but this time here I will add the public key that I copied previously from the pfSense, which is this one. Okay, so I will just copy it and paste it. Then I will add here the pre-shared key, shared key, that also I have copied or pasted on my notepad here. Here we go. Then the allowed IPs. So here I will just use everything. Okay, and finally, so actually here I have to add this slash here. Okay, and finally I will add the endpoint, which is in my case the IP address or the public IP address of my pfSense, with of course the port. So we can do that. So I will add here aminos, so because I have DNS server, so I will just input here aminos ninatos.dns.net, and the default port is of course 51820. So I guess now we have everything in order to create our tunnel in our client. Okay, so let's save that. So make sure to actually input the keys with capital letters at the corresponding actually section. So let's save that. Okay, so let's name that. So I will just call it WireGuard pfSense home, for example. You can name it whatever you want. So I will save that. Okay, so now we have everything in order to connect to actually our pfSense. So I'll do the same on my actually mobile phone, and I will try to connect to our pfSense and see if we succeeded. Okay, so now after connecting using my actually mobile phone, okay, if you go to status, you can see here that I have a peer that is connected to my pfSense. So I can see the details of it. So this is the window client peer, and here you can see the IP addresses or the IP address of the peer. Okay, and you can see the same information here on the home page if you add actually a widget corresponding to the WireGuard. So if I click on this widget here, WireGuard, and it will be added actually like the same that we have done on OpenVPN. So this is it. So I'm gonna just drag it here, okay, and I will save it. Okay, so here you can see that indeed we have a peer that is connected. Okay, so if you follow the steps, you will see that it's pretty easy to configure and to run actually a VPN connection using actually WireGuard. Okay, and if you are using Windows, it's simple as activate this option, this button here, in order to connect to your pfSense from everywhere. Okay, so that was just a brief video to show you how to configure step by step WireGuard on pfSense 2.8.0. okay, so if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. And of course, if you have any suggestion for future video, drop them in the comment below. As always, I hope it has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. Bye bye.